If your team is insanely busy but going nowhere, no amount of extra work will save you, but 20 minutes with a whiteboard can. In this video, you'll learn how to save weeks of thrash with one real conversation about the actual problem you're facing. I've watched strong teams do all the right things while nothing moved until we pulled the right people into a room and drew out what was in our way. Today, I'll show you when to call that room, who to invite, and exactly what to do in 15 to 30 minutes so you align on what's real, make decisions, and get your team moving. And yes, whiteboards are the best. I was once on a team that was having a lot of trouble understanding when they were going to be done with the work that they had. They'd done a bunch of work up front. They'd planned out everything, taken them days, and now they were weeks into this project, and it didn't seem like they were making any headway. All the work that they were doing, and it was a highly effective team, just seemed to go into the ether as even more work was discovered that made it so that they always seemed more underwater than they were before. I was looking at this problem and talking to some of the leaders, and a guy named Ross, a really good tech art lead and director, said, Ben, I see the work we're doing. I see the backlog. I see all the meetings that we're in. We're in plannings and stand-ups and all these different things. What we're not doing is getting into a room with a whiteboard as engineers and tech artists together to understand what does it look like to solve the problem we're facing. And so we did that. We got a group of people in a room with a whiteboard, and they sketched out what is actually going on. They did some architecture. They did some groundwork. Now, the point here isn't go hop into a room and talk about technical architecture. There's a bigger lesson here. When we're not talking about the real problems we're facing, work multiplies no matter how much of it we do. The fix wasn't that particular whiteboard conversation. It was bringing together the right people to have the right conversation. My guess is this applies to you as well. The key idea here, you should not expect the existing ceremonies or just endlessly more work to solve the non-trivial problems that game devs always run into, that leaders in game dev spot and aren't sure how to address. Complex issues often require targeted ad hoc conversations. You've got to bring the right people into the room. You've got to bring the craft leads and the experts involved in the space. You have to bring the people who know the most about that problem together. And that means you have to admit that that problem's there. You can't just look at that through the lens of, well, if it comes up in retro or if we talk about it in planning, then it'll get resolved. Sometimes you're seeing something. It is a major problem. It will block you from being successful, and it's worth it to grab those people and pull them together. So when should you do this? When do you bring together this group of experts to solve the problem that it doesn't fit into the rest of your work system? First sign you might need to do this. Everybody's busy, yet key outcomes aren't moving. This is one I see so much. Everybody's really, really busy doing all the work that they can. All the crafts are cranking out assets and stuff and code and QA tests and narrative story and all this different stuff. But what we're actually trying to do, the player experience we're trying to create, the goal, it's not moving any closer. Second thing, different people, especially if they're leaders, describe the problems very differently or have a very different idea of even where we're trying to go. Misalignment around what we're facing and how we're going to overcome the challenges before us means that we probably need to hop in a room and figure out what's important and align on that. Third, decisions keep slipping between meetings. We keep saying we'll cover it later. Something comes up in planning. It's not quite the right time to talk about it, or it comes up in the product review, or the backlog grooming, or a stand-up. It's not quite the right time to talk about it. We keep moving forward, and that problem just gets kicked down the road over and over and over again. Fourth, work keeps growing unexpectedly due to discovery or dependencies. We have this just growing pile of what we need to do, and we're looking at it, we're going, man, why is this happening? What's going on here? Often we need to slow down and say, there's a problem that's causing this. What is that problem? What underlies this? What don't we know? What do we need to learn or understand or talk about? What do we need to discuss with other teams? Any of these things. But when you're seeing that work just growing almost faster than you can handle it, that's a good sign that something's off and you should have a conversation about it. You probably need to do some more work. Fifth, people can't sketch the same picture of how everything is going to fit together to get something done. So when you see this is similar to that different people describe the problem differently, this is, okay, here's where we're trying to go. Here are the ways we're going to solve it. If people either have no image of that or have different images of that, it's a great time to call a room together with the right experts to actually decide this is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to tackle this problem. Does this sound familiar? You're in a leadership role at a game studio. Everyone is busy working. No one has any time. But the actual game itself isn't in a good spot. Maybe it's the tech. Maybe it's the lack of a validated prototype. Maybe it's that every person seems to have a different idea about what we're trying to build. But you've got a job. There are reports to send, meetings to schedule and facilitate, the occasional season of performance reviews to go through. And everyone is always so busy. When you step back, it makes you wonder if everyone is just going to keep slowly walking towards the abyss until the project or game fails. Is this what it means to be a leader in games? In tech? To endlessly repeat the same sequence of meetings without really moving the needle? To spend hours trying to get Jira tickets and dashboards where they should be? To pretend that everything is fine when you know deep down it really isn't? It doesn't have to be this way. You can make a difference. You can help your team and game succeed, but sometimes you need a bit of help to get there. I've started a game dev leadership accelerator. It aims to level up leaders who see opportunities to make a difference but don't know how to capitalize on them. We'll walk through what it means to lead well and give you tools to understand your organization's challenges and implement changes to overcome them. Game dev is hard. Knowing how to lead will give you an edge. It will still be hard, but you'll be ready to tackle it. If you're interested, let me know below. Hit the link. I hope to see you in the accelerator because I believe better leaders will help teams make better games, and I look forward to someday playing what you create. Who do you invite? You want to keep this small and surgical. I don't want this room exploding. If it can be 2 people, great. I mean, sometimes you can have one person go and do it by themselves. A lot of times you're going to need a little bit more than that. I would not go past 5. My target in for this is like 2 to 5 people. And who you're going to want, it could be you if you're the leader involved. In the case I just described where it was Ross talking about getting in a room together, I was not in that room when they had that conversation. I didn't need to be there. But you might be, as the leader or the producer, someone who's there. You want the key experts in the space that's involved with whatever the problem is. So it could be the team leadership. It could be some very specific specialized devs on your team. Whoever it is, they're coming together with an awareness of what the problem is, and they're going to kill that problem. They're going to figure out what that path forward is so that the whole team can move forward and we stop having all this busyness that's not getting us anywhere. Key thing here, this isn't a review. Don't bring stakeholders to this. Don't bring a bunch of spectators to this. Let that small group of people get in that room, again, ideally with a whiteboard, and start sketching out, okay, what's happening? Why is this a problem? How will we resolve it? If you need notes, if you need follow-ups, that's fine. You can distribute what is learned. There's many ways to do that. That might be a place where backlog grooming or planning or reviews, some of the more standard meetings might be helpful. But the key thing is you just have those core few people in the room. What do you do when you get those few people in front of that whiteboard? First thing, somebody actually states the problem. This is what's going on. This is why we all feel like we're spinning our wheels. You need someone there who can state that clearly and so that everybody can understand it. And it needs to be in the language of the people that are involved, their craft, their expertise. If that's engineers, it's engineering. If it's art, it's art. You need somebody there who can state it in a way that it will be understood by those involved. Next, they're going to have a conversation about that. That may involve diagramming a bunch of stuff out. It may involve brainstorming. It can involve so many different things. But the key thing is, this is the problem that we think is actually leading to our team not making forward progress. And so we're going to talk about this. We're going to work through why this is happening, and then try to figure out what we will do. And you might not get all the way to an answer. You might not solve everything inside of that short 20, 30 minutes that you're in there. But what you will often do is have a path forward. You will know how you're going to reach that solution. Once you've done that, you do a quick capture in a broadcast. Someone take a picture of the whiteboard. Someone read just a couple of key notes. This doesn't have to be long-winded. You don't need to bring someone in just to take notes on this. It's really more about the conversations that people have once they exit that room and the alignment that they then provide to the rest of the team about where we're going. Some of the common reasons I think people don't do this. The first one, any meeting anywhere, even something like a quick sync, an ad hoc sync among experts to solve something that's really important to the team, can feel like this burden that no one wants to initiate. No one has any time for that. Wow, why would we stop working to go hop into a meeting and just talk to each other? 15 minutes, 20 minutes spent now doing that can save weeks of thrash. I've seen this on teams more than once, where you go into the room and you come out and you realize, shoot, we weren't on the same page. Oh my gosh, we hadn't really thought about this enough. We need to figure some stuff out. Now suddenly the team can move towards the goal. Don't tell me you don't have enough time for this, because I've seen teams spend so much time wasting all their efforts getting nowhere when they should have been coming together and aligning on what the problem was and how they were going to solve it. Second thing, we already have a set of meetings. We should just talk about it there. Why isn't it coming up there? I think this one comes from people who really think that once I've put something like Scrum in place and I've got a backlog grooming and a planning and a stand-up and a retrospective and a product review or demo, that should cover any meeting that we ever need to have. This is untrue. It is frequent in game development that we will run into issues and problems that are outside of the scope of those meetings, and expecting those meetings to somehow figure out everything that might happen, that's folly. That is a fallacy. You need sometimes to hop into a room and talk about something specific as a group of experts. Maybe it's the whole team, but often you just need those few people who are the decision makers, the experts in the space, to say this is where we want to go. The third objection to this isn't really an objection at all. It's more a denial that there is a problem. It's the belief that what we're doing is fine. It's working. We're following the process. We're all doing the right thing. We shouldn't need to go and talk about these things. Why can't everybody just keep working? And it relates to the other two. It relates to the no time. It relates to the fact that we've already got these meetings and I don't want another one. But underneath it is actually this, look, there's not even a problem here. I don't want to admit there is something wrong. For me to put a meeting on the calendar to talk about the problem is for me to admit that a problem exists. And that feels bad. I don't want that problem to be there. Maybe I'm not sure how to solve it. Maybe I don't know what to do. And I just hope somebody else does and it goes away on its own. This happens a lot in game dev teams. The belief that, look, I'm just here to do the things I'm here to do. I'll let somebody else figure that out. And what often happens when you get into that situation is a key problem that's going to cripple your development of your project, feature, game, asset, whatever it is. It's going to cripple it. We'll just stay there. And you won't make progress, and everybody will be busy, and nothing meaningful will get done. Lots will get done, but nothing meaningful. What are some anti-patterns to avoid around this? First, don't try to stuff this into a stand-up or a post-stand-up meeting. Don't let someone bring up something that's very serious and just be like, cool, hey, grab someone and talk for 5 minutes after stand-up, and then everybody get back to work, and hopefully that'll take care of it. Sure, some problems, that's all you need. Maybe try that first. But honestly, if you have a recurring issue with getting work done, and you see the team struggling immensely, do not act like having two people talk for 5 minutes after stand-up is going to solve that. This is, again, hopping into a room, spending the time needed in front of that whiteboard, diagram it out, let that group work through it together to actually figure out what a solution would be. Thinking that, oh yeah, if we just talk about it in stand-up or right after, that's going to do it. No. That's not why the stand-up is there. It may identify the issue. It's not there to solve it, nor is a quick sync after. Another anti-pattern to avoid, bringing the whole department, bringing the whole discipline, bringing the whole team in on something like this. Sometimes it's important to have the whole team in a meeting. When you're dealing with some of these specific problems, especially if they're craft related or about interaction between two different crafts, you don't need to have everybody there. Have some of the leads in those crafts or some of the seniors in those crafts come together to work through this thing, figure it out, and move forward. Third, you don't need to turn something like this into a weekly recurring ceremony. You don't need to make it so that now that we have this conversation, we should have this again. And this is something I see even devs sometimes suggest, wow, this was a really useful meeting. Let's do it every week. I'm always really cautious about that because sometimes it does just need to be a one-off ad hoc thing. Now, that one-off ad hoc meeting might spawn another meeting and another meeting. That's okay, but you don't need to, just because that happens, go, we should do this every week in perpetuity. That's a great way to end up with a wasted time block on the calendar once that problem gets resolved and everybody just comes together and is like, okay, what are we doing here? But we'll find something to talk about because we're creative people. So be wary of that. Don't jump to turning it into something that recurs week after week after week or sprint after sprint. As you were listening to this, you may have realized I'm in this situation or I've been in this situation. I want to give you some quick steps you can run through if you find yourself here or if you are here right now where there is a problem. It is preventing the team from moving as fast or effectively as they could, and yet it's going unaddressed. First, write down what the problem is. Just define what it is. Be that person who can say, this is the one sentence or the two sentences that says, we're busy, but we're also stuck, and it's because blah is unclear, hasn't been resolved. We're unaligned around it, whatever it might be. Write out that sentence. You probably have seen that. You may be in that situation right now. Most of the time in game dev, there are the problems that nobody's addressing because everybody hopes somebody else will fix it. So write down that thing, and in that, start taking ownership of that problem. Step 2, find the right 2 to 5 people who, if they came together, could work through this problem, could make a plan for how they would solve it, and unblock the team through doing so. Step number 3, actually book that meeting. find 20 minutes somewhere. Whether if you're in a remote environment, make sure they have access to a Miro board. If you're in a in-office environment, make sure that they do have access to a whiteboard or somewhere where they can collaborate together and draw things out. The visuals really help in identifying where misalignment happens. When someone starts writing something down, someone else goes, wait a minute, that's what you meant? And you want those moments to happen because now we can get on the same page. Now we can say, okay, got it. This is how we're going to fix it together. And then step 4, close the loop. Whatever that group, you might have been in it, you might not have been, whatever that group came up with, make sure that there's a picture that's taken. There is some way that we're capturing the decisions that were made, and then take those, share them out to the team, share them out to whoever needs to know them, and track, make sure that that stuff actually gets done. So yeah, this is something I've seen it over and over. Teams working really hard, really, really busy. They're trying to get to their goal and something's in their way, but it's the thing that nobody's talking about. It's the thing no one's addressing. This is a simple way to address it. And I know it seems almost too easy. What do you mean? I just have to get a few people in a meeting room together with a whiteboard. Yep, that's it. It can be that simple. I've seen it be that simple over and over and over. We always think there's some advanced, fancy way we have to do this. Nope. Bring the right people together. Let them have a conversation. Let them draw out what's going on. Let them come away with a path to a solution or a solution itself. And with that, you might have your team working much better and shipping great games. So, hope this has been helpful. Until next time.